Life could be a dream. Life could be a dream. Do, shaboom. Life could be a dream. If I could take you up in paradise up above. If you would tell me I'm the only one that you love. Life could be a dream. Sweetheart, hello, hello again. Shaboom, hello, boom, boom. Then on me, oh, life could be a dream. If only all my precious plans would come true. If you would let me spend my whole life loving
Thomas
you.
the tank engine has worked his branch line for many years and knows it very well.
Every time I look at you, something is off.
With his two faithful coaches, Annie and Clarabelle, he had kept passenger traffic moving and justifying his line's continued existence in the eyes of British Railways.
Life could be a dream. Shaboom, if I could take you up in paradise up above. Shaboom, you tell me, darling, I'm the only one that you love. Life could be a dream. Sweetheart, hello, hello again. Shaboom, hello, for me to get boom.
You know just where to stop, Thomas. If I didn't know any better, I'd say you could almost manage without me.
Thomas knew his driver was only joking. It would be suicide for a sentient vehicle to run through less full time.
I heard the suits are putting that Deltic into full production. The diesel? Yes. And apparently, they're going to be used exclusively on the East Coast. Gordon won't like that, that's for sure. Well, let's just hope one of those Deltic things doesn't replace Gordon. He's been working on this railway longer than Toby and I, and to have all those years of service repaid by giving him the axe won't force diesel traction onto the region, Percy. The Fat Control wouldn't allow it, not with the number of engines with serious design flaws they keep putting out. Thomas is right. As long as a hat's in charge, you're all safe here. I'll get some shut-eye. It's another busy day tomorrow. That goes for us people too. Come on, lads, let's pack it up.
And with that, one by one, the engines fell asleep. All except Thomas. He hoped neither Toby nor Percy had detected the uncertainty in his voice. Next morning, the fireman came. Thomas drowsed comfortably in the shed as the warmth spread through his boiler. Then, all of a sudden, he started moving. He was only moving because a careless cleaner had meddled with his controls. In the case of sentient vehicles, their controls must always be left in neutral and are only to be used by an engine's crew in extreme emergencies. Thomas couldn't feel his regulator or brakes, let alone manipulate them. He was completely helpless. He tried to whistle a warning, but he couldn't. He tried to stop, but he couldn't. He just kept rolling along.
Hold on. Isn't that our engine?
Thomas didn't dare to look at what was coming next. There was the station master's house. The station master and his family were about to have breakfast.
Horace!
Cried Thomas and shut his eyes. There was a crash. The house rocked and broken glass tinkled. Thomas had collected a bush on his travels. He peered anxiously into the room through its leaves. He couldn't speak. The station master was furious.
Goodness gracious me! There's an engine in my dining room!
Acting quickly, Thomas Driver climbed into the cab where he shut off steam and applied the brakes.
You alright in there, Thomas? Oh, just wait until I get my hands on the hooligan who found it fun to mess with my engine.
I'm fine, Lincoln, I'm fine. And I think there's currently more pressing matters at hand.
The station master's wife picked up her plate.
You miserable engine.
She scolded.
Just look what you've done to our breakfast. Now I shall have to cook some more.
She banged the door. More plaster fell. This time it fell on Thomas. Thomas felt depressed. The plaster was tickling. He wanted to sneeze, but he didn't dare in case the house fell on him. Nobody came for a long time. Everyone was much too busy. At last, workmen propped up the house with strong poles and laid rails through the garden. Using a strong cable, Percy soon had Thomas back on the rails. Bits of fencing, the bush, and a broken window frame festooned Thomas's front, which was badly twisted.
I'd like to start by saying that I am in no way blaming this incident on you, Thomas. I'd have to be insane to do that. Turns out the cleaner meddled with your controls. He's been given the sack and turned over to the police. You'll have to go to the steamworks to get your front mended, and, if I may say so, we can use the opportunity to straighten out that running plate of yours.
But what about my branch line, sir?
The Fat Controller sighed sadly.
I wish it hadn't come to this, but head office is forcing me to test an experimental single-card DMU. I'd have Kate take over, but she's badly needed on the main line, so...
The DMU, sir? As in... a diesel?
I'm sorry, Thomas, but rest assured, you won't be replaced by one of those boring old rail cars, mark my words.
Thomas was left on a siding outside the top station. Percy promised to look after Annie and Clarabelle. Later, Roby arrived to take him to the steamworks. Thomas knew the incident wasn't his fault, but even so, he couldn't help but feel he'd let the railway down.